Jesus Christ, look at the f***ing state of you two. There you go, Dan.
Thanks, mate. Yo, God bless, mate.
All the best. Just to say, this is just for the video. I would literally never give money to homeless people. Okay.
Despite what you might think when you see me begging on the streets with Hobo Joe, when it comes to video games, I don't like change. When a main character is changed up too much or a series is altered greatly, then unless the franchise was dog-dick to begin with, it can reek of focus group testing and a load of old chaps out of touch with what people really want. So desperate are publishers to always stay relevant that there have been many times that games will just change overnight to hop on the latest bandwagon, which in many cases, maybe they should have just bowed out gracefully from. With this in mind, I'm Jules, your Southwest subject shifter, and these are 9 image changes that totally killed your favourite video game characters. Number 9. Ratchet & Clank, Ratchet Deadlocked. Now, truth be told, I love this game, but that doesn't excuse it from being a bad look for the lovely Lombax. I mean, just look at him. What is going on with this? His head is so out of proportion to the rest of his now bizarrely built body, not to mention that this pouting growl just screams, "Edgy Space Marines!" Even on the game's promotional artwork, it looked as though Ratchet's head was slapped atop a more humanoid individual than his original Lombax frame. It's such a change from the happy-go-lucky tone of the first games, which, while still making you a Space Ranger, still maintained an air of silliness. This game, however, eats silly times for breakfast and shits out lumps of pure man grit stuffed with steroids and protein powder. Number 8. Crash Bandicoot, Crash of the Titans. Here we have yet another example of puberty wreaking havoc on our favourite furry friends, as Crash clearly decided that after the low point that was Wrath of Cortex, that he'd rebel and get the skin suit to match. By this I mean that he went from this lovable goofball to this, plus tribal tats and a mohawk, universally the 2 items in existence which will never make a person cool when worn together, or even separately for that matter. Like the living embodiment of market research, Crash's appearances across the late 2000s were horrendous. Awful mixtures of faux 90s radicalism combining with developers who weren't Naughty Dog picking up the flag after they'd sailed off into brighter futures. Number 7. CONKER, Microsoft HOLOLENS.
Wait, are you seriously telling me that this is the same foul-mouthed attitude machine that we remember from when we were kids? F*** off. No, f*** off. No, f*** off. No, f*** off.
Number 6. Lara Croft, Tomb Raider 2013. So we all know that back in today, Lara had the sort of sweater meat that would poke your eyes out from across the room. Now that has changed, and I've actually got no problem with that, as it looks pretty goddamn impractical to be climbing a mountain and having to drag those 2 mammoth memories along with you. What I do miss from her old days is the let's get this f***ing sorted attitude that she carried with her. No challenge was too big or too insurmountable, she'd just quip and flip her way to the top. In the reboot though, she was definitely placed in much more of a survivor role, in that bad shit happened to her and she just tried to make it through by the skin of her teeth. I don't know if this is related, but since the change, her character has been nowhere near as popular with fans nor in terms of sales or critical reception, despite the new games being utterly fabulous. But when you compare this change to the sexual nature of Bayonetta, who utterly nails her role of being powerful, seductive, and hilarious, maybe it's time to unleash the big guns again. And by that I mean her personality and aptitude. Come on lads, keep it in your pants. Number 5. Nathan Rad Spencer, BIONIC Commando. At one point, BIONIC Commando was tipped for greatness, enough indeed for Capcom to license not 1 but 2 remakes, one being a visual and mechanical overhaul that remained true to the 2D original in 2008, and a full-on 3D platform shooter in 2009. Whilst the former did supremely well and is still highly recommended, 2009's edition took the slick-looking Commando and gave him a youth marketing treatment, which is to say they attempted to take the name Rad Spencer, which is absolutely brilliant, and designed what a rad individual would look like in 2009, if 2009 was 2000 and POD was still a thing. Hence we had grubby clothing, tattoos, dreadlocks and baggy trousers, none of which made a lasting impression and actively turned consumers in the opposite direction. Number 4. Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic Boom. I could just do another laughing skit here, but Peter has had a go at me about these. He said something along the lines of journalistic credibility and that he'd beat me with a riding crop and blah blah blah. But look at this, the original lovely Sonic, and now look at this from Sonic Boom. Why? And I thought that the werehog was the stupidest thing that Sonic had ever been. But no, this beanpole biped look is much more stupid. And when you notice the accessories like the pointless scarf and the way he's taped his shoes to appear tough, Jesus, thank Christ Sonic Mania is doing away with all this strapped-on rubbish. Number 3, The Prince of Persia 2008. Depending on when you were born, there's a chance that your first experience with Ubisoft's over-sequelizing of something came with Assassin's Creed, but they actually buried another franchise just as it was getting off the ground, Prince of Persia. Believe it or not, the first AC was actually intended to be a Prince of Persia spin-off, so popular was the latter for a number of years. In the end though, Ubi decided to have their cake and reboot it too, completely redesigning POP in 2008 with a cel-shaded look instead. Needless to say, this was a big contrast between the now colourful Prince and the much darker look he'd sported before, and many wrote this game off as being too childish as a result. And with ailing sales, Ubi did what it always does when they mess up, they just buried it by trying to pull the plug. Number 2, Dante, DMC Devil May Cry. Again, I love the way this game plays, but that doesn't mean I like the venereal disease look they gave Dante in this DMC reboot. The very idea of anybody other than Capcom developing Devil May Cry immediately got people's backs up, and when Ninja Theory finally showed their new design, it confirmed all our worst fears. And along with his new look came a slightly tweaked attitude, and by that I mean that instead of being a cocksure quip master, he was now a cocksure ass a snide and pretentious little twat that no one in their right mind could take seriously. And number 1, Spyro the Dragon, Skylanders, Spyro's Adventure.
Yeah, I'm not gonna take the heat on this one, guys, so I'm gonna get the man himself to do that. Hey, Peter!
What?
Come here. That's it. That's it, bud.
What are you doing?
All right, just stand there.
Do you know how much work I've got to do?
Listen, mate, I think that it's actually probably for the best if you take this one, all right? I'm just,
What, this? I don't even know what the list is.
It's on 9 video game characters who Image destroyed their credibility, and this is number 1.
Right. Now, this office is a nice place to work, right? A joke's a joke, and we all have japes, and we get each other on each other's videos to do like, oh, you can do this one, and oh, it'd be good if I had a guest appearance and a bit of live action, right? I'm not talking about this anymore. I can't. I don't know what led Activision. Why did Insomniac even give it away? Well, We've talked about this riding crop, Jules, and journalistic. You cover this. I am not right. What? I don't have the crop. I don't have the.
I'm glad you don't have the bloody.
I've got.
Fucking hell, mate.
No, that's not enough. That's not enough.
No, okay, actually, yeah, let's cut this. That's.
You want new image changes? You want image changes? You come over here. I'm sick of talking about Spyro, and if I have to talk about Skylanders one more time, toys for Bob, more like toys for Ben, he's making me talk about Skylanders. I'm sick of talking about Skylanders.
And that's our list. Got any more mascots that were mutilated? Well, let me know about them in the comments section below. And why not swing by whatculture.com for more news and articles like this every goddamn day. You can follow us on Twitter here, or me personally at RetroJ with a 0, and you should also follow Scott Tailford, who wrote the original article. As always, I've been Jules, you've been awesome, and I'll speak to you soon.